But just a little bit about Jonas Walton. He's from Georgia. He's from Carroll High School in Carrollton, or Central High School in Carrollton, Georgia. 5'9", a little over 200 pounds. This is an incredibly productive player, Trevor. He has over 4,700 rushing yards in his career. He also has over 900 receiving yards in his career. Has over 50 rushing touchdowns. Also has 3 kick returns for scores. So, talented player. I believe I saw he's a 4.0 student in the classroom also. So you can understand why Notre Dame and Stanford are both among his Final Five. You don't see very many kids who have a Final Five of Alabama, Tennessee, Florida, and then Notre Dame and Stanford. So I think that says a lot about Jonas Walton. But he's getting ready to commit to the University of Notre Dame. It's a done deal. Jonas Walton just committed to Notre Dame. Let's talk about it, Trev.
Yep. It's a big-time commitment. Absolutely a big-time commitment. Like you said, Jonas Walton, he hails from Carrollton, Georgia. He's a 5'9", 205-pound running back. He's a consensus 4-star recruit. He's ranked a 4-star recruit by all the major services. On3, 247, Rivals, ESPN. He has a very extensive offer list, which is really impressive. That's always something that I kind of take a look at when recruits get signed. And then, of course, we know the other teams that were in the hunt for him. Like you said, he was choosing between Tennessee, Florida, Bama. I mean, he's in Georgia's backyard. And so when Notre Dame is able to beat out those other teams for him, I mean, it's a really big win on the recruiting trail. So I know that he's taken a couple of visits at Notre Dame. He was at Junior Day for them back on January 25th.
He's been on campus 3 times.
Fantastic. Notre Dame offered him back in December of 2023, so they've been on him for quite some time. It's came to the fruition today where Jonas Walton ultimately elected to commit to the University of Notre Dame. So, Bryan, why don't you walk us through a little bit of the backstory here and what went into this?
Well, I'm a really fast typer, Trevor, because I just published a commitment story and a class impact story all within 30 seconds of each other. So I'm a really, really fast typer. But no, look, this is a what's that?
I said you should run Irish Breakdown.
I should start my own website. This is a big pickup for Notre Dame, Trev. I mean, we'll get into the backstory in a second, but it's just impressive when you can go into Georgia and get a kid out of the South that has the kind of the offers that he wants. These schools he's looking at, Bama and Tennessee and Florida, are not just schools on a list. Like I saw a kid that's going to make an announcement this week who's from Indianapolis, who's got Notre Dame amongst his final schools. Notre Dame hasn't been recruiting that kid for months. Caden Harris committed to Vanderbilt recently, had Notre Dame's hat on the table. He wasn't a take at Notre Dame. That's just one, especially once Aiden Pouncey got committed to Notre Dame. But sometimes these big-time schools get their hat on the table because they're big-time schools and they got offered by them, but they weren't being recruited by them. That's not the case with Jonas Walton, because he is a kid that Bama wanted, Tennessee wanted, Florida wanted, and Notre Dame beat those schools for him, which says a lot about where Notre Dame is right now as a recruiting operation. They are absolutely on fire getting this young man. But it's an interesting recruitment, Trev, because you talked about sort of the backstory, and Notre Dame went through a very odd, not an odd change. I mean, coaching changes happen, but they went through a really tough change this offseason when they lost Dylan McCullough, who was doing a phenomenal job with recruiting, and then obviously with recruiting a young man like Jonas Walton, who's someone who Dylan McCullough liked a lot. You could make a case, I'm not saying this definitively, but you can make the case that Jonas Walton was Dylan McCullough's number 1 running back on the board. I mean, he was pushing hard for Jonas Walton. And then when Jaywan Sider came in, obviously he continued that process. And then you're like, okay, well, then they get Javian Osborne. What's going to happen? Well, Notre Dame had done a phenomenal job with Jonas and put themselves in a great position. The only question when the change was made was, would Jaywan Sider like Jonas Walton enough to push for him as a one of 2 backs in the class? And that, because he did offer him at Penn State, but obviously he had Messiah Mickens in the class so long, it's like, okay, where is he going to be? And Jonas Walton was just as important of a recruit for Jaywan Sider as he was for Dylan McCullough. So great job by Dylan McCullough kind of getting Notre Dame in position where I think they were the team to beat when Coach McCullough left. but you've got to now come in and continue that. He had a great relationship with Coach McCullough. He actually called Coach McCullough when he committed to Notre Dame and let him know that he was committing to Notre Dame, which is pretty cool. Tells you a lot about that relationship, but you also look and say, but that's not why he committed to Notre Dame. It was a big part of the process. I think Coach McCullough helped Jonas fall in love with Notre Dame, but he wasn't going to pick Notre Dame because of Dylan McCullough, because Dylan McCullough is with the Raiders now. He had to have that connection with Jaywan Sider, and then they were able to come in and get that done and get this commitment. So when you look at how this whole thing went together, Trev, it really came down to, could Dylan McCullough got you to a certain point, but could Jaywan Sider get you over the finish line? And the answer was yes. Now, the timing of it, because Jonas has always said, hey, I'm going to take visits, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Once Javion Osborne committed, he knew, if I want to be at Notre Dame, I got to make a decision maybe sooner. What this tells me, because this is true, Notre Dame did not pressure him to make a decision soon. He decided to announce sooner. He committed to Notre Dame about a week ago. I got a call during the show. If you guys remember that one time I got a call, it was during the show. Actually, no, yeah, it was a call during the show. It was somebody telling me that he had committed to Notre Dame. So if you're on the board, this is what the dancing gift was all about. I have a rule that I don't create dancing gifts for guys who have commitment dates set. Jonas did not set his commitment until after we did that. I didn't know that he was definitely going to announce soon. I wasn't sure when he was going to announce. But it was really just a case of, hey, they're taking two backs. I've always wanted to go to Notre Dame. If I'm going to go, I need to go now. And I think Notre Dame played it pretty smart because they wanted Jonaz Walton, but since he wasn't ready to commit just yet, they went out and saw different guys. They saw him, but then they went and saw DeZephan Walker, and they offered a running back from Texas. I'm like, hey, man, we'd love to have you, but we got to keep recruiting other guys. And I think Jonas said, hey, look, this is where I want to be, so let's get it done. Let's get it over with. And so that's what led to this decision and why Notre Dame now has an outstanding 1-2 punch at running back in the 2026 class. But great job by Coach McCullough and Coach Sider on getting this one done, especially when you're able to convince him to come to Notre Dame, even though you've already got another top 100 back already in the class. I think it speaks volumes to the sales pitch, but also, Trev, it's a lot easier when you're looking at the program and you're like, dude, they've had so much success in recent years of two legit running backs. And if you think about 2 of the last 3 years, Notre Dame has had 2 running backs with over 700 yards rushing. Obviously, you had over 800 from Logan Diggs and then over 900 from Audric Estime back in 2022 with the running quarterback for at least a part of that season. Then in 2023, Audric goes for over 1,300 yards, but even that year, Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price combined for over 600 yards, and Jadarian was a dynamic kick returner. So it's like, hey, we're going to find ways to get you the ball. And then obviously last year, Jeremiah goes for over 1,100 yards. Jadarian goes over for 700 yards. So Notre Dame has shown, hey, listen, we can have 2 dynamic running backs. And the coach they hired to replace Dylan McCullough is someone who just coached a backfield that had 2,000-yard rushers at Penn State. So being able to sell that vision of, hey, listen, we're going to play more than 2 backs every week. More than 2 guys are going to get touches, made it a lot easier for them to convince both Javion Osborne and Jonaz Walton that you guys can not only you're going to compete against each other, but you're also going to be backfield mates. If you're both good enough, you're both going to play. And that was a big sales pitch. And now you've got these 2 kids that are going to come in and push each other, along with Nolan James a year in front of them. And so big time pickups for Notre Dame. Big time.
Definitely a big recruiting pickup for Notre Dame. Definitely safe to say that this Notre Dame recruiting machine is now very well oiled. They're humming right now, and they're absolutely cooking along the recruiting trail. Let's talk big picture for a second here, Bryan, and let's dive into the class impact and what this means. So he is now the 2nd running back in the 2026 class that Notre Dame has picked up. He joins Javion Osborne as the 2nd running back in that class. I believe he's now the 8th offensive player in this class that's been taken. So he's the 10th?
Ninth.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, 4 offensive linemen. So you're at 9 right now. And then 7 defensive players, 3 D linemen, 2 linebackers, 2 DBs.
Good deal. Good deal. So let's talk overall class impact, adding a running back like Jonaz Walton.
Well, as you mentioned, 16th overall commit, second running back in the class. You now have 2 top 100 running backs. So why are you taking 2 running backs? Like, other than just, hey, we're going to take as many good players as we can get. No, they're strategic. There's a strategic aspect to why they're taking 2 backs and why 2 backs were what Notre Dame was looking for the entire time. Because you look at the current roster, loaded, deep at running back, 6 players on the current roster, and none of them are out of eligibility after this season. However, you also have to be smart and say, hey, listen, I know that there's 6 now and nobody's out of eligibility, but the reality is if the season goes according to plan, we're probably not going to have Jeremiah Love in 2026. If the season goes according to plan, there's also a good chance that they won't, looking at from Notre Dame's standpoint, that this is what the coaches are thinking, we won't have Jadarian Price in 2026 either. Because if things go according to plan and Notre Dame plays 16 games again, they're probably both going to the NFL next year. The odds of them bringing back Jabron Payne or Jabron coming back for a 5th year aren't great. But even if Jabron wants to come back, you're now at 4 running backs. So you need 2 in this class to get you back to the 6, which is you want to be at 5 or 6. And the way that Notre Dame uses backs and has used backs, we'll see if Jaywan Sider can do the same. We don't know the answer to that. But the plan is that you'll be able to play 3 of them. Well, now if you're down to 5 scholarship guys and you start to get a little bit low. But also you have to consider that when this running back class shows up, Aeneas Williams and Kedron Young are going into a draft-eligible season. And so there's a chance that if you don't get 2 this year, let's say Kedron Young has a monster breakout year. Let's say he's a good backup, rushes for 300-400 yards this year, goes out in 2026, takes over as a lead back, and has an Audric Estime type junior season. Is he coming back? I mean, after look, let's not forget that Kedron Young rushed for more yards as a true freshman than what Audric Estime rushed for as a true freshman. And then Audric comes out in year 2 and has a breakout. Well, I don't expect that type of breakout from Kedron, but could I see, because of the presence of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price, but could I see Kedron Young go out in 2026, rush for 1,300 yards for a great Notre Dame team, and then bounce after his junior year? Could absolutely see that. And if you don't bring in 2 in this class, now all of a sudden you're going into 2027 and you are thin with experience. It's basically maybe Aeneas Williams is still there, Nolan James Jr., and then whoever you get in this class with a bunch of freshmen. So any way you spin it, if things go according to plan, you're going to need 2 running backs in this class. And if things don't go according to plan, there's probably some guys that are going to get kind of processed out of the program because they're just getting passed up and they're not performing at the level that you'd like. So you come into the class, Trev, and you talk about the class impact. You needed 2 backs, got 2 backs. The way that Notre Dame is recruiting the position, you're no longer just recruiting depth guys. You're recruiting impact guys, and you desire impact guys. There's a time and a place for depth players. This wasn't it. Depth guys are when you've had 2-3 years in a row of great numbers and you project to have a bunch of guys coming back. So, hey, it's good to have that year where you have a depth guy. I never liked the idea of 2 depth guys, which is what they got last year before they shifted gears and then brought in Nolan James, who's, I guess a depth guy early in his career, but could be a starter and an impact player at Notre Dame. Love Nolan James Jr. But you're at the point now where it's like, dude, we're bringing in dudes at running back. And if you're going to go out and get a running back and get 2 running backs, you'd like to get 2 dudes. But you needed at least 1 dude. If you got 1 dude and a depth player, you're going to be okay. But with Javian Osborne and Jonaz Walton, you got 2 dudes. You got 2 impact, top 100, 5-star upside running backs who have combined in their careers for almost 9,000 rushing yards, and they haven't played their senior seasons yet. Think about that. And Javian Osborne does not have the best track times of the 2. Think about that also. So this is a young man that has a ton of talent. You've now landed 2 running backs, so you met your numbers needs, but you also met your impact talent needs. And then the other thing too, Trev, is part of being a class impact is, do you fit the system? And when you look at Jonas Walton, you see a running back that should thrive in the things that Notre Dame wants to do well. He is a downhill runner that has really good athleticism and really good feet and good vision. So he can look, if you give him a vertical hole, he's going to hit it like he's Josh Adams. I mean, that's just kind of how he is. But he's got really nice feet, very underrated agility and cutting ability and bouncing ability. good patience, and all the traits you want to be a guy that can thrive in running an inside zone duo counter offense. And the other thing is Jonaz Walton also has almost 1,000 career receiving yards. He had over 600 receiving yards as a junior, including over 130 in their last game of the year in a playoff game, and had over 300 kickoff return yards last year on 9 returns. In the last 2 years, according to Max Preps, he's had 11 kick returns. He's taken 3 of them back to the house. And he's not playing like little boy football in Georgia. He's not playing like at the level Sebo Flemister played. And I like Sebo. I'm just saying, like, Sebo played it like he was out in the country. He wasn't playing anybody. So this is a big-time productive player that also fits what Notre Dame does schematically. That's an important piece, Trev. And same thing with Javian Osborne. It's like, if you can't somewhat see a current back in that player, you got to ask yourself, does this guy fit what you're trying to do? And when I look at Jonaz Walton, could Jonaz Walton basically execute the same run game that Audric Estime did? Yes. Could he execute the same run game that Jeremiah Love or Jadarian Price did? Yes. Okay, there you go. I'm not saying he's like them as players, but it's like, that's the run game. Is he good at those things? And he is. And that's why you're getting him. But he's also a guy that brings balance. He's a guy that can make some plays in the pass game. So that's also something that I like about Jonaz Walton. It's a really talented player. And you guys are going to see that firsthand here in a second.
I was just about to say, we've been talking a lot about play style and how he is on the field. I'm ready to dive into some film, man.
Yes. Let's do it.
Take a look at
Let's take a peek at Jonaz Walton's film, and you guys are going to see what I'm talking about. The one thing that's interesting, Trev, is the 10.6 speed. I didn't see it at first because you see him, he's not your typical speedy back. He's short, he's really thick, and he's like a short, squatty like legs, so he doesn't have like the long strider type of speed. So he's one of those kids that honestly had to grow on me a little bit as a runner. Where when I first saw Javian Osborne's like first 5 clips, you're like, yep, that's a dude. Jonas kind of took me a little bit. You had to go through it a couple times, but the more you study, you're like, dude, he's pulling away from guys.
Yep.
Like, this guy has speed. This guy has playmaking ability. This guy has that type of skill. And, you've already seen 2 of his first 3 plays are catching the football in the screen game. And you see his ability. You see the strength. You see the bounce. He's a horse to bring down. I love that low cut frame. Thick lower body. Brian Smith was down to see him at practice the other day, and he said Jonas told him he's well over 200 pounds. And he's got that. He said he's got like tree trunks for thighs. You can see that on the film. He's a very thick upper bodied kid. And then this is where you start to see this is what makes him. So those are all great things, Trev, but none of those necessarily make him a great back. It's this kind of stuff that you start to really see. Like, look at this jump cut. Look at that.
Yep.
Like that kind of ability for a 5'9", 200-plus pound back to be able to hit that jump cut like that and then accelerate, that's what you're looking for right there. Boom, hit that and then go. That's balance, that's agility, and that's really impressive acceleration skills right there. Nobody's catching him.
Yeah, when I watched his film at first, one of the first notes that I put in there was like deceivingly fast because he isn't built like somebody that you would think has that type of speed. But his acceleration out of that jump cut from that first clip that you played was
show it again. Yeah.
I mean, and then go. I mean,
I think this is the first carry we've seen on film too, by the way. Like everything we've seen so far is catching the ball, kick returns. Is this one carry? And this next play is a great blitz pickup. But think about that, Trev. Kids has 4,700 rushing yards. We're 5 plays into his highlights, and we've only seen him carry the ball once.
He has that almost kind of Ashton Genty, Jahmyr Gibbs, like stand-up stance in the backfield.
Trev, do you at times see a guy that sometimes that makes him a little bit of a slow starter? Like, I think it does. I think at times it makes him a little bit of a slow starter. But once he gets going, the acceleration is really impressive. Really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, when he gets further downfield, I mean, he's outrunning angles, and that is what shocked me. Like, this was the play when I watched it where I was like, okay. Like he does have track level speed.
Yeah. 2 of those guys thought they had angles on him.
Yep.
And
like right here, I thought he was tackled
twice. And then this guy thought he had him too, and he just couldn't quite get there. Yep. Yeah. The speed is nice, Trev, but Aldrich Estime could hit a home run if you gave him a crease, and he was a 4.7.
Yeah.
It's the vision that you see from this kid, like the bounce. Like he hurdles two guys, folks. Like watch. I wish he wouldn't have slowed it down, but look, he hurdles two guys on that play. And what they say, it's a 4th and 10, and his coaches are like, "What are we gonna do on 4th and 10? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna throw a screen pass to Jonas, and he's gonna convert it." Think about that. 4th and 10, he catches the ball a yard or two behind the line of scrimmage, and he gets it by doing what? Hurdling two guys. But here's the impressive part. He doesn't fall down. He hits the ground, runs in his own guy, and he doesn't lose balance at all, and he just keeps running. You guys want to talk about, when you talk about great balance, great agility, that's it right there. The leaping part, it's like there's a lot of backs that leap people nowadays. It's this part that's impressive, but that he hits the ground like it's nothing, like he's hurt. He's a hurdler. That's having great agility and having that really impressive contact balance. No, by the way, he just ran a seam route and tracked the ball like he's a slot receiver. We've seen him carry the ball. He's carried the ball once so far in these highlights, Trev. He's got 4,700 rushing yards, and we've seen him so far in his highlights carry the ball once. It says a lot about him as an all-around player. And this kind of came out of nowhere. He only had like 200 receiving yards as a sophomore. Last year he had over 600. He'll do this to you as well. I actually think this is a part of his game from highlights that I want to see a little bit more. But when you watch game film, you see a lot more of that.
Yeah.
That physicality. You don't see it as much in his highlight clip, but he's got it. When you watch game film, if it's 3rd and 1, he's going to hammer you. You see the blitz pickup that I was talking about, the pass game impact, I should say, that I was talking about, that you're seeing him bring to the table. It's a 5'9", 200+ pound running back who's shown so far. We're a couple minutes in his highlight, and he's only shown 2 carries. We're going to watch a little bit of sophomore film too, but think about that. One play he's running inside zone, the next he's running backside seam out of trips. It's impactful player.
It's a good block.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I want to see him carry the ball more. Here we go. Look at that vision.
Yep.
Patience, letting the block set up. Good read. He sees, it looks like there's going to be this big hole opening up right there, but he sees that leverage that back has on him and knows, I got to take this out the back door. A lot of backs would have been like, oh, I'm going in that hole. He takes it out the back door, and he's on the sideline.
You talk about seeing former or current players and like the recruits that you're bringing in. That play had Jadarian Price written all over it.
Look at those hammies. That's a thick lower body right there, Trev.
That is also, side note, this is not about Jonas Walton. That is a short quarterback if Jonas Walton is 5'9".
Jonas is not tall.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But no, the lateral cutting ability reminds me a lot of Jadarian.
Yeah.
Like very low center of gravity, quick out of accelerator, quick out of the cuts. I mean,
look at that balance. Has that ankle tackle attempt, and then he's just right back to running. Hard to bring down. Great leg drive too, Trev, going through the line, but also when you're trying to tackle him, really good leg drive. But there's a couple clips too, Trev, where the hole's just there and he just goes. He's not dancing to dance. This is the counter. Good vision, knows that there's no hole there. He's got to bounce it up field, get what he gets. Just great leg drive, great agility, great motor, more blocking.
Keeps his shoulder square.
Yeah. Yep. Patience. Just look at that leg drive. Look at that balance. And this thing about both of the running backs in this class, Javian Osborne and Jonas Walton, have great cutting ability from the backfield. Both of them do. That's why you get the ball in your outside arm. His stiff arm is as good as you're going to see. Wait till you see a sophomore film. It's even more of it on there. But he's got some really impressive stiff arm strap. But his stiff arm's as good as you're going to see for a high school junior. It's really impressive. Really impressive.
It's another good block, man. Stayed engaged.
Yep. Look at that cut. Look at that read. Counter play that he hit. He creases in the A gap. Look at that. Boom. Gets vertical. Sees now he's got to get outside again. Really good vision. Good hands, too. Catches the ball with his hands. He's not a body catcher.
Yeah.
Look at that. Like, that kid's like, I got to tackle this big horse. And he goes low and just boom right over him. Picks up an extra 4 or 5 yards. It's a really impressive athlete. This looks like a little scrimmage action here. It's like it's like with his senior high school or his junior high school film. It's like, look, I've ran for over 3,600 yards the last 2 years. I need to show people that I can do more than just run the football.
Yeah.
Because his sophomore film is just a bunch of him getting handoffs. But it's like his junior film, he's showing all these other things, jet sweeps and kick returns and all that kind of stuff. And, it's really impressive. Let's pull up his sophomore film because that's when you see him carry the ball a lot more, his sophomore film. So let's get that up there next and show that because I want to see him tote the rock a little bit more. And not from an evaluation standpoint, he totes the rock a lot. I'm talking about from what he's showing on the film. I want to see a little bit more of that. So let's get that. Here we go. Back-to-back years of over 2,000 all-purpose yards, by the way. Let's get to this. Here we go. Let's go back. Really impressive all-around player. But the sophomore film, there's a lot more of this. Hand him the ball off. Let him go be a dude. Look at that gear.
Good
and then
Lord.
You're not bringing him down. It's like you think you have the angle, and then you kind of catch up to him, and he just bullies you. And then outruns everybody else. Look at that. Look at that burst right there, Trev. Boom.
Yeah, once he makes a decision to go, he moves, man.
Yes. Look at that. Look at that lead drive. That poor little kid. Oh, he wanted no part of that action.
Poor kicker.
He wanted no part of that. No part of that action. But this is a soft – look at that. Look at that stiff arm, Trev. I mean, here's what's impressive about the stiff arm. It's not just timing. But if you try to stiff arm a guy once he's into your body, that's not going to work. You got to have that timing and that pop to say, hey, when is he at my reach level? Right there, boom. Right there, boom. Like that poor kid. Like his stiff arm is as good as you're going to see. I'm telling you, dude, it is an impressive attribute. Still showing blocking clips. I want to see you run the ball, man. No more of this blocking stuff. Look at that. If he's going to crease your vertical, he can do that. Patience, and then accelerate, get through the hole. And to see this backside cut once he gets through the hole. Like, okay, I'm taking it out the back door. That's really impressive vision for a running back.
Yeah, it is.
Really impressive vision. He's not
a lead blocker.
Just a dance. He runs with purpose. Look at that lead block. Look at the leg drive. You can just tell this is a kid that, look, I'll do whatever I got to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
And Javian Osborne's that way too. There's a lot of stuff in his clips where you're like, dude, why is this stud running back with 4,000 career yards showing me pass blocking clips? Because in his mind, that's an impressive play because I'm trying to help my team win.
There's that balance you were talking about.
With a stiff arm and that leaping ability. Like most guys should fall down from that type of leap, but he just gets up and then within 2 steps, he's back to full speed. With 3 steps, he's back to full speed. And scores.
Good Lord.
That's really impressive. Look at that vision. See that back cut. Sees the blitzer coming off the edge. I'm going to cut underneath it, get outside. And look what he does. Once he makes that cut, balls in 2 hands. Now I'm outside. Balls in the outside arm. Love it. Boom. Look at that stiff arm.
Good Lord,
I told you,
dude.
his stiff arm's as good as you're going to see, dude. It is. His stiff arm is as good as you're going to see. This is such an impressive 1-2 punch of these 2 kids, of him. And look at that. Look at that vision. Patient. Boom. Get there. Look at that move. Do y'all see this move right here? He makes this kid think I'm cutting back and then just pops it back out. Like, do you see that right there? Watch. Right there. And then he bounces back outside.
That's so smooth.
Subtle. It's subtle. Like, you don't see it. And you're like, first time I saw this, like, what's that kid doing? And then you go back and look, and you're like, oh, he leans him back inside and then pops it back out. Because that kid's thinking, I don't want to get run over. And
no.
then he leans him back inside. Oh, it's impressive. Yeah.
Or get hurdled. I like when running backs, like pad level doesn't change whenever they make a bunch of cuts. You see that sometimes in like offensive play or young running backs, like little like scat wide receivers, like before they get ready to cut, they do one of these, like they get like really high and then get back low again. I mean, that was a very smooth cut.
Mm-hmm. I love the patience. Like let it play out, and then when it's time to go, you can go. Very impressive running back. Patience, and then got nowhere to go, so I'll just run this guy over. I like this though because if he tries to bounce it, this guy's got the angle. This guy's tackling him from the side. If he tries to outrun him, this guy's going to tackle him for a loss. Know when to cut your losses and just get what you can get. And then sometimes you're good enough with your power, and then watch him with his right hand right there. Keep that guy off of him. Next thing you know, they're thinking, hey, we got him in the backfield. Nope. 30-yard game. Yep.
Yeah, this
really
kid's legit.
Runner. Yeah, he is. But this is an example I'm talking about. There's look, the hole's right in front of me. So I don't need to do anything pretty. Just hit it. And then once I get to second level, then I can do something nice.
Switch his hands.
I don't love that, but he does it at the right time. Okay, he doesn't do it. He's in space, and then he does it. So I'm kind of like, hey, once it's there, it's there. But look at that. But why does he do it, though? He knows I got one guy to beat, and I need to get my inside arm free so I can do the stiff arm if I need to. But
good Lord.
Yeah. Yep.
Just strong kid.
He sees the end zone, and I'm hunting. That's what, him and Javion Osborne both, man. They hunt the end zone. It's like they have nothing on their minds except what do I got to do to get to the end zone? And I don't care where we are, -2 or +2, I'm getting to the end zone. Like they have a hunger for the end zone. Both of them. I love this 1-2 punch. And look, I could see with the way he blocks, you're telling me you can't go some 21 or 20 personnel where you've got Jonas and Javion Osborne on the field together, or one of them in with Nolan James Jr. Like
that last play
together, Trev.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That last play, they lined him up attached to the line of scrimmage.
let's go back.
Like, look at this.
Yeah, yeah.
The old 5'9" tight end.
I got to we did that once when we were at Muhlenberg. I had Matt Bernardo at running back. He was an All-American running back for us, but we played, I think, Ursinus. We lined him up at tight end, knowing they won't know what to do, and ran him on a seam route. And he had to score like a 70-yard touchdown. So it's like, seeing that, like, okay, I like these coaches, man. I like these coaches.
And he looks a step faster in his junior film.
Yes. Yeah. I was kind of thinking that, Trev. Like, I wonder if, like, maybe he was – and his production wasn't as good. He was about 1.5 yards less per carry. I wonder if he was maybe battling like a hammy or something where he wasn't quite as explosive. And you wonder, did he put on too much weight? Well, then you see him out there winning the state 100-meter championship this past weekend with a 10.6. Like, nope, speed's there. I do wonder if maybe he was battling something as a junior. Maybe that had him that. Look at that run. Look at that drive. Just running that poor linebacker over. You got no chance. You got no chance. You want none of this. He's a really impressive running back. You can see why he was – I think he was Dylan McCullough's top back on the board. And you can see why. He's a big-time back.
Yeah, he is.
Somebody asked me, even before he committed, somebody asked me, what's your ideal 1-2 punch at running back in this class? And I said, it's Osborne and Walton. I mean, that's my ideal 1-2 punch at running back in this class because they're both alphas, but they complement each other very well also.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both enough of a home run hitters that they don't neither like Jonas can be a 20 carry guy. Like he has the body to be a 20 carry guy, but he doesn't need 20 carries to be an impact player. Like he's built kind of like Audric, but he doesn't need to be Audric because he can hit more home runs than Audric could. Look at that. Look at that. Safety thinks he's got him. Like, oh, I got you. No, you don't.
Ooh.
Yeah, look at that spin move. It's an impressive athlete, dude. Yeah.
Very instinctive.
Yeah. Yep. As soon as he's got a shot to get vertical, he's looking to get vertical also.
Mm-hmm.
You have yet to see him go backwards when he gets hit. Like he is the one delivering the punishment. Look at that. Look at that cutting. Look at that bounce. That's what we talk about vision, Trev. But then it's one thing to have vision. I think I have good vision as someone who knows the game. But if you handed me the ball off, I'm not making cuts. I'm going like this until somebody trips me. You know what I'm saying? Like It's the cutting ability that's just really impressive. Really impressive. And he doesn't have to touch the ball to make an impact. That's something else I love too. Look at that. Look at that. Great balance. Keeps his eyes open. That poor kid's like, they really think they're going to okay. They're going low. Somebody said in the chat, this young man made a business decision. He's thinking, I'm not playing college football. I'd like to, I need this pretty face.
Yeah, he had an AP U.S. history exam on Monday.
Yes, he did. Yes, look at that vertical cut. Watch this. Gets outside, patient. Watch this vertical acceleration right there, guys. That is really impressive. That explosiveness is really, really impressive.
Yeah.
This is a talented back. Really talented back. Yeah. And then he can like I said, outrun people. He's a big time back. I mean, I hate to do like the lazy comps, but I'm watching him play and I just keep thinking to myself, dude, this is Maurice Jones-Drew. Like if you're looking for a comp, short, squatty, but maybe with a little bit more juice, maybe, but than you'd expect from a guy of his size. But
I was thinking Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I think he's a lot better runner. Body type, yes. But like one thing about Maurice Jones-Drew that I always liked is he did not look. And the one thing I wrote about Jonas in my breakdown, my class impact breakdown was he doesn't look like a speedy back. Like when you think speedy backs, you think they're built a certain way. They either look like Jadarian Price or Jeremiah Love or like a smaller guy, an undersized guy. You don't think 5'9", 210 is a speedy back.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Maurice Jones-Drew was. He was 5'7", 210, but he ran a 4.4 at the combine. Like he didn't look explosive, but he was explosive. So that's what I say is like a little bit more juice than you'd expect a guy of his size to have. So it's hard for me not to look at this kid and think, and when I say Maurice Jones-Drew, I'm not saying he's going to be Maurice Jones-Drew. Just a reminder for people when I make comparisons, I'm talking about style of play, body type, skill set comparisons, that type of thing is what I'm referring to when I compare a guy to somebody else. But Maurice Jones-Drew is also a smaller back that can make an impact in the passing game as well. So that's a comparison as well. But no, this is a talented running back, Trev. Very talented.
Absolutely.
Very talented running back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, hey, let's tie a bow on this part of the segment. And let's talk about what's next for Notre Dame on the recruiting trail.
I mean, first of all, think about how much we've talked about how dynamic these two players are. And by the way, we could have gone back and watched his freshman film because he also rushed for 1,600 yards as a freshman. But we don't want to be here all day. As much as y'all would enjoy it. But I would encourage you, go back and watch his freshman film because it's also very impressive. But where you are now, Trev, is you have to understand something. They're committed, and I think they're both young men that have every intention of being committed, but you have to understand these are both big-time backs that schools are not going to give up on. And in this world of NIL, if a team misses out on a guy, they're going to come back later and try to offer big deals. So you've got to make sure that you maintain the strong relationship you have now with both of them through this entire process until they sign. You got to get down to see them as much as you can, love on them as much as you can, just keep building that relationship. And Jaywan Sider's no fool. He understands that. He knows that. But that's just what they have to do. But what this does, Trev, is you're now sitting here May 14th of the summer of 2025, and you're already moving on to your rising junior class recruiting. And there's already some impressive guys on the board, but what he's doing right now on top of, hey, I've got to help out with this class is what you're essentially saying, okay, now it's time to move on to the 2027 class. And there's already some really impressive players on the board. They've offered Amir Brown from North Carolina, who the staff likes a lot. He's been on campus. That's a kid to keep in mind. There's some very talented backs in that class that Notre Dame is after. I watched Amir Brown the other day, and he reminds me a lot of – he's a little bit of a combination of Javian Osborne and Jonaz Walton. So there's some talented players on the board, but that's what you're doing now. And what's nice is because it's so early, you can have a bigger board and you can take more time to evaluate and get to know them, because most of those kids aren't in decision-making mode right now. They're going to be more in decision-making mode into the summer and into the fall. And then some of them are going to be where they were. This group is making decisions next spring and summer. So you have time to really see who's the fit and who's the kid that's going to come in and be good enough to compete with these guys, but also not someone who's going to bounce after a year if he's not playing. You got to make sure you find that right type of player. And so this gives him some time to do that. So actually I'm sorry, Trev, we've got to do it. I just remember this one play that they just showed that I got to show. So just show me one more play. This is from his freshman year. I just got to show this one. This just popped up on my screen, but just watch this. Just look how easy he is just pulling away from people. Like, yeah, that's just a freshman in high school, by the way. But it's really now about take your time to make sure you're getting the right player in next year's class.
Yeah.
Which is a combination of talent, right kind of personality, and right kind of does he fit what you're trying to do? And that's really where they're at. Now, here's the other part of this too, is by getting these two backs early, you are in a situation where you've got a guy in Jaywan Sider who has recently done regional recruiting. And he's a guy that played quarterback, has coached other things. I would not be hesitant to say, hey, can we use Jaywan Sider a little bit to help close out some of the kids that they're recruiting in Florida, where he's from? Are there things they can do with maybe, hey, let's have him help out Mike Brown, not in a way where I'm disrespecting Mike Brown, like saying Mike Brown can't recruit. He needs all the help he can get. But more so saying, dude's got some time. You know, he doesn't have to get out there and, like the Zephan Walkers and guys like that, Brian Bonners, you don't have to worry about them anymore. I don't see Notre Dame taking a third running back in this class. I don't think there's any need for them to take a third running back in this class. I think they can just these two kids are in the class and you just kind of roll with it and just keep it going. So I would take advantage of the fact that Jaywan Sider has a history of not just recruiting the running back position. And I would take advantage of that and say, hey, let's utilize what he can do on the recruiting trail to go get some other positions and to recruit some other players. I'm just going to let his freshman film run for a little bit while we're finishing up this conversation, Trev, because every time I pop over, he's hitting a home run. I was like, let's just let the fans enjoy it. We won't break it down, but we'll have it on there. This is freshman film. But so that's where you're at. Is I would like to see them maybe utilize Jaywan Sider's recruiting skills by having Jonaz Walton and Javian Osborne in the class this early. You have the option of doing that. But his number one priority will still be, hey, I've got to go out there and find the right running back in the 2027 class. And he can also start, Trev, he can start getting after the top 2028 guys now.
Yeah.
You're not recruiting just one class at a time. You're recruiting multiple classes at a time now. And that's going to allow him to really make a big splash in that regard. There's no doubt about it. But the interesting thing, Trev, that we should have mentioned earlier in this conversation, is you're talking about a player in Jonaz Walton, or or a year where it's a loaded running back year nationally. And you had to take advantage of that. And you got two impact guys. I don't know if it's possible for any other team to have a two-man group like this group. I think these are both top 10 national running backs. In my grading system, they are. And you went out and got two of them. It's a good place to be. And it really sets you up for now building on the future.
Well, what this shows me even more so is it's adding to that little pool of, hey, and you just start to trust a little bit more of what Marcus Freeman does. One of my biggest question marks about Coach Sider was not his ability to coach good running backs. We've gotten to see that during his time at Penn State. We did get to see some of the recruiting at Penn, or what he did at Penn State, but recruiting at Penn State's a little bit different than what you have to recruit at Notre Dame. And what these two commitments have shown me is that it's okay. This isn't going to take a drop off with Dylan McCullough headed off to the NFL. Mm-hmm. It's a very comforting feeling, of knowing it's like, yes, we know that when he was at Penn State, Big Ten school, a little bit of different recruiting parameters at Penn State versus the ones that you have in South Bend. he can attract top-level talent, and he's getting guys like Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen, Miles Sanders. So, like, all that's good. But what are you going to do in this light? And what these 2 pickups showed me is like, okay, the train just keeps rolling now. And that's a really, really good spot to be in, man.
Yeah.